Welcome to 504 Live, week, whatever this is. This will be a somewhat hurried reflection on what for you guys has been a lot of things to think about. 13 theories in 1 week? Reminds me of the summer I read 20 Shakespeare plays in a month. But here's 3 things for us to consider tonight. First, I think we're all interested in deception, from both an ethical and relational perspective. But there's nothing like thinking about this for a while to make it a little fuzzy. Lying and deceiving aren't necessarily the same thing. We can mislead people, we can withhold information, we can, lie. And some scholars think deception is a necessary evil, or maybe not even evil at all. One of the professors in my doctoral program claimed that a healthy marriage required at least some deception. He believed that happily married people were just people who had negotiated what deception could or could not be accepted. So, for example, if your wife asks you what you're thinking about and you say you're thinking about how lovely she looks and you're actually thinking about how bad her breath smells, well, you can probably get away with it. But if she asks you where you were last night and you don't tell the truth for whatever reason, that may cross the line of what she can accept. Of course, one thing the text says is that lying is hard to detect because we actually want to trust people, especially those we love. Liars can, of course, look you directly in the eye. You may not have been able to do this when you were lying to your mom when you were 3, but by the time you were 6, you were probably pretty good at it. Now, here's something interesting. People trained to detect when someone is lying by listening for verbal cues are actually more accurate when they listen to someone on the phone than when they're with them in person. The second thing I want you to think about is the whole issue of relationship development and maintenance. As seniors, my undergraduates almost always remember Altman's social penetration theory as their favorite theory. And that makes sense because it explains something about where they're living. But I tell you, Baxter's relational dialectics makes more sense to me where I live. Relationships are complicated and messy. We do have opposing needs, and it does create tension. By the way, Baxter's not the reason, but it's a good example of my own journey from objective to interpretive scholar, even though I was trained as a chemist. The older I get, the more things seem complicated and nuanced, and I think interpretive theories often help account for that. Finally, I hope you have a favorite theory in the bunch. I do. Delia's constructivism resonates with my experience and responsibility. Person-centered messages and cognitive complexity are concepts I understand and inform my work as a teacher because I think we can teach people to understand and grow. You can learn to be more cognitively complex, and I'm also drawn to the idea that this is something God does. He speaks into a situation and affects each individual in unique and powerful ways. I think we can learn to do that better. By the way, if I had a runner-up in this group, it'd have to be Festinger's cognitive dissonance. His minimal justification prediction is something I often think about as a teacher and parent. I try to keep punishments and rewards to a minimum, the smallest amount that'll do the job. So anyway, what makes sense to you? What do you like? Remember what we said at the beginning. There's nothing as practical as a good theory.